Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. I wasn't planning on making a video today, but with the breaking news in the SNP leadership race, I thought I need to get onto this. This is worth doing a video, worth expanding and worth investigating. It seems two people have now put their hats in the ring to fight for the leadership, and there is a warning about a third, and that if this third person tries to go for it and is successful, it could spell the end of the SNP. That would be an absolute shame. So let's have a look at these two stories. We'll look first of all at the two that have put their hats in the ring, and then we'll have a look at the one who apparently shouldn't. Here goes. Right, coming as no surprise to absolutely anyone, Hamza Yusuf, of course, was the first person to put his hat in the ring. This man has zero possibility of winning. He is stupid. He is incapable of leading. He lacks any kind of authority. He's also got a history of driving cars with no insurance, so he is a bit of a crook if you look at it that way. But he has no chance really of becoming leader. However, the other person does stand a very good chance of becoming leader. They are diametrically opposed to everything Sturgeon stood for. They are popular not only within the party, but outside of the party. I think anyone in Scotland who does not vote for the SNP would be happy to have this woman stand as its leader, because if she wins, she will be the de facto first minister of Scotland. But she's a person for whom she resigned on a matter of principle. She has morals and an ethical standing. She is brave. She is personable. She's a very likeable woman. And I think, as an outsider on the whole issue, that she would be the best person they could have to lead the party and the country until the time of the election, when hopefully then the SNP will be shown the door, because they're still the SNP, regardless of who's leading it. But at least this person would be much more acceptable. I think she is the acceptable face, and that is what you need. So anyway, headline time. Scottish Health Secretary Hamza Yusuf and former Minister Ash Regan become the first candidates to officially announce SNP leadership bids after Nicola Sturgeon's resignation. We all knew Yusuf would have jumped at the chance the moment she went, but not before, because he doesn't have the balls. So Yusuf said he believes he is the right person for the top job in the country, and Ms. Regan said the country needs to bring back unity, and she is the right person to do it. And I think of all the candidates, she is the one that would make the best First Minister for the next couple of years until the next election. There's Ash Regan, who, when she resigned over this gender issue about 3-4 months ago, I did a video at the time, and I actually saluted her. I said she was one of the few people in the SNP with a spine, with a moral compass, and with principles. And I think that is something you need if you're going to be the leader of a country. Anyway, Mr. Yusuf and Ms. Regan are the first candidates to declare officially their intention to stand. You've got to put yourself forward if you think you're the best person for the job, and I do. Mr. Yusuf, 37, said, this is the top job in the country and it needs somebody who has experience. Yes, but it needs someone who's not an idiot, someone who can answer a question without looking like a rabbit in the headlights, someone who is allowed to express themselves without having to internally refer to what Sturgeon would approve of him saying, and that is not Yusuf. Whereas Ash Regan didn't care what Sturgeon thought. She spoke her own mind and gave the right answer. The Glasgow Pollock MSP, or he's close, Pollock, he's a bollock, has been mulling over the possibility of succeeding with Sturgeon after her shock announcement this week. The only shocking thing was the timing. We knew she was going to go before the end of March because of the resignation letter that was leaked. The fact that she came out and did it the next day was the only shocking thing. Mr. Yusuf, who entered Holyrood in 2011 and has been a perennial frontbencher in every SNP administration since, despite having been caught out as being useless in everything he's ever done, whatever he oversees falls apart. His experience, yes, but his experience is one of failure and of causing misery to millions. But anyway, he has long been viewed as a potential successor to Miss Sturgeon in Bute House. Only by himself, I think, though. But in recent years, I've seen him mired in the controversy surrounding the Hate Crime and Public Order Bill, in which case I could sit and have a private conversation in my house with my wife, and someone walking past could look in, not even hear what I'm saying, but assume what I'm saying, report me to the police, and I could be guilty of a crime. That is the law they've brought in. It is madness. And it's also anti-free speech. Because who defines what hate is? Who defines what is offensive? There is no definition in law of this. So every case has to go to a judge. There's no common sense. But then you don't expect common sense from the SNP. In the Sunday Mail, Miss Reagan, 48, said, "We need to bring back unity, draw a line under certain things and move past them." She means the Gender Act and the Hate Crimes Act. I believe I'm the person to do that. The electorate expect the Scottish Government to focus on things that are important to them. That means the NHS, which is still struggling to get back on its feet after the pandemic, and people expect the First Minister to concentrate on boosting the economy, creating jobs and helping them deal with the cost of living crisis. Yes, the economy destroyed by Sturgeon, and the jobs destroyed by Sturgeon, and the cost of living crisis created by Sturgeon. She has done everything she could possibly do to make things worse for the people of Scotland. The former Community Safety Minister quit her post in protest against the Gender Recognition Reform Bill and has since become an outspoken critic of the legislation and of Sturgeon. But I think everybody is an outspoken critic of Sturgeon. She hasn't got anyone to say a good word for her because she's just an awful, awful woman. Since the First Minister's announcement last week that she would stand down from the role, Ms Reagan has called for SNP members who left in the past year to be given a vote in the leadership race, a move described as preposterous by Deputy First Minister John Swinney because it means that the people who left the party because they didn't like what was happening will then come back and vote for someone who didn't like what was happening. And Swinney doesn't want that. Swinney wants to maintain his grip on power, but I think whoever becomes leader, I think Swinney's days are numbered as well. Swinney needs to go. Now, obviously, Swinney has ruled himself out. You've got Angus Robertson. He's just a plain up crook. He should never get the job. There's not many in that party that would be even suitable for the role, never mind capable for the role. There's virtually none of them that are capable. So, you pays your money and takes your choice. However, we move on because there is one person in the party who, if they became leader, would possibly destroy the SNP. They'd certainly break up everything that's happened. They'd be rejected at every level. And it would be, for me, it would be amusing. For me, it would be the best news possible. And of course, that woman is Kate Forbes. Boom. So, SNP are warned their Scottish Government could collapse if they choose We Free Kate Forbes, a member of an evangelical church which opposes gay marriage and abortion, as the new leader to replace Nicola Sturgeon. The We Free are religious extremists, and they're a very close, I'm going to use the word inbred almost, community. They don't like other people who aren't part of them. They're very insular. They're insular as people. They're insular minded, and they don't live in the modern world where they don't like gay people. They don't like unmarried people. They don't like a lot of things because of their religious bigotry, for the want of a better word. But this woman, there's nothing wrong with her. She's an intelligent woman. But because of this religious conviction that she has, she would be vulnerable to certain points. I mean, for sure, if you asked her, is the guy that done that crime a man or a woman, she would undoubtedly say a man because of her religious conviction. But she would oppose the victim from getting, anything to stop her being pregnant. So anyway, the SNP are being warned that the government could collapse if they chose the current Holyrood Finance Secretary, Kate Forbes, as Nicola Sturgeon's replacement. And so she's actually a qualified accountant and she's running the Treasury up there, which is a very weird thing to have someone who knows what they're talking about in a department. The two leading SNP MSPs, Hamza Yusuf and Ash Regan, have so far announced they will stand to replace Miss Sturgeon as party leader, we've just covered. But Miss Forbes is also being heavily tipped as a possible successor to the departing worst minister. There are claims that the Scottish Greens would pull out of their current power sharing agreement if Miss Forbes takes over, because the Greens are filled with gay people, from which she does not agree. And indeed, you've got Joanne Cherry in the SNP, who is a lesbian, and of course Kate Forbes would not approve of that. So Joanne Cherry would never get a ministerial position, for example, and things like that. And there would be a lot of bias because of her religious extremism. The 32-year-old is a member of the Free Church of Scotland, sometimes known as the Wee Frees, which is opposed to gay marriage and believes there are few circumstances in which the getting rid of a baby is justified. Oh God, look at it. It's like Lucifer, isn't it? Miss Forbes has previously said she'd been guilty of tiptoeing around her Christian faith in interviews, but once she was given power, she would not. She would be imposing her Christian views. It's also been suggested that Miss Sturgeon's government rushed through its controversial gender identity reforms before Christmas, while Miss Forbes remained on maternity leave in order to prevent a potential revolt from her. But according to the Herald on Sunday, Miss Forbes' personal beliefs could put at risk the Bute House agreement struck between the SNP and Scottish Greens in 2021. The risk is that the new SNP leader, the new First Minister, comes in and has a different sense of direction to Nicola Sturgeon. Maybe is slightly less keen on the socially progressive policies that Sturgeon was very much a supporter of. And I think the problem with Sturgeon is she had to push this gender bill in order to keep the Greens happy, and that is why she was so obsessed with it, because she wanted to maintain her power. I don't believe for 1 minute she believes everything she was saying, because every time she opened her mouth, she got it wrong. But she does like power and glory. All hail the worst minister. But the source added that even if Miss Forbes took a pragmatic approach to the Scottish Government's gender identity legislation or plans for buffer zones outside of clinics, it could still put at risk their relationship with the SNP. After Miss Sturgeon fell one seat short of winning an outright majority in the Scottish Parliament at the 2021 elections, she stuck a power-sharing agreement with the Scottish Greens, who have 7 MSPs. And there we go. So it was the SNP being kept in power by the Greens. Therefore, as we know, everyone knows, the Greens are filled with loons, swivel-eyed loons. And that's why Sturgeon was caught between a rock and a hard place. Not necessarily believing the crap she was talking, but having to do it because she wanted to keep hold of power. But this one coming in is, as I say, a religious extremist, has no time for a lot of the things that most people just get on with their daily lives. And then that would come through and she would be imposing those things on the country. And that would cause a collapse of government. So, you know, you pays your money, you takes your choice. Anyway, I'm going to round this off, come up and finish the video. So there you have it. There's 2 officially in the race, more likely to follow. Be an interesting 6 weeks, I think. You'll see the internecine fighting amongst the various factions within the SNP. Hopefully, it will weaken the party if it's particularly nasty, dirty, and grubby infighting. I've said in the video there that personally I think the best person for the job would be Ash Regan. I think she would be the only person that would give the SNP any kind of respectability. Hamza Yusuf, well, probably got no chance of getting it, and even if he did, he would be ultimately even worse for the party, even worse for Scotland, unfortunately, than even Sturgeon. And as for Kate Forbes, well, from a personal point of view, when it comes to making videos about the awfulness of the SNP, I think actually, from my point of view, for that reason, she'd be excellent value for money. I mean, we would have endless fun investigating the various machinations of her sort of ultra-orthodox mind when it came to confronting and conflating reality with what she perceives as being the right thing. So I think, from an entertainment point of view, Kate Forbes would be the girl for me. But in terms of doing what's best for the government of Scotland for the next couple of years until the government can be changed, I think it's got to be Ash Regan. But, you know, I don't get a vote. I'm not a member of the SNP. But I just hope that those who are members of the SNP vote wisely. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to this video. It's gone on a bit longer than usual. But if you've made it to the end, then well done. If you like what you've seen here on that channel, do hit that subscribe button. We're very, very close to a target, very close to 2,500, and I would love to get that by the end of today. So anyone's watching it, hit the button if you haven't already. Helps get to that target. Ring the bell so you know when I'm about to blather on about the next thing. And then do share the video. If you've got any comments, please make them. Tell me who you think should be the leader and why. I'd be interested to see what your reaction would be on that. But until next time, stay safe, stay well, stay interested in what's going on around you, and goodbye.